Hey guys, what's happening? Today we are going to look at combining positive and negative numbers. So we're going to kind of go over the rules of that, look at some examples. Some of you guys are probably familiar with this, but just as a refresher, we are going to look at these again, and hopefully any confusion there was up to this point can be figured out, solved, and done with. And those of you that are pretty solid on it already, hopefully this is just a good refresher to get you back in gear on this stuff. But let's switch over to the notes and see what we can do from there. All right, so combining positives and negatives. The rules for adding negatives and subtracting negatives. That's the most important part. We already know how to add and subtract positives. What we don't really know, or what we're not as familiar with, I should say, is how to add and subtract negatives. So, subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive. It's the exact same thing. So, if you see a problem that says a positive number minus a negative number, that subtracting a negative ends up creating an addition or a positive. So, in the example, we have 1 minus negative 2. That's going to translate over to be 1 plus 2, which equals 3. So just remember, two negatives cancel each other out and make a positive. Now, adding a negative is the same as subtracting. So if we have a positive number and we add a negative to that, we're technically subtracting from it. So in the example, we have 1 plus negative 2. That's going to translate to 1 minus 2, giving us an answer of negative 1. Now let's look at some more in-depth examples down below. Example 1, we have negative 2 plus 7 plus negative 4. Now we're going to go ahead and correct our signs right here. So we have our negative 2 plus 7. We don't need to change that. But when we add a negative, we can change that symbol to be a subtraction symbol and then go from there. So when we have negative 2 plus 7, that gives us 5. Then we have 5 minus 4, and 5 minus 4 is going to give us our answer of 1. So just remember to change that sign and then go from left to right. So negative 2 plus 7. Think of it on a number line. You're starting at negative 2. You're counting to the right 7 places. You're going to end up at 5. Then you got 5 minus 4, obviously 1. Example 2, we have 7 minus negative 19 minus 18 plus negative 19 plus 18. Now, there is another rule we can go over here, but for simplicity, I want to go ahead and stick with our basic way and then explain this new rule whenever we get to a certain point. So we have 7 plus 19 minus 18 minus 19 plus 18 after we complete our sign changes. So negative minus, or subtraction from subtracting a negative, is addition. Subtraction stays the same. Adding a negative is subtraction. Addition stays the same. Now we can move to this line here. 7 plus 19, 26. Bring everything else down. Now, here's the rule that you can do, but you really have to know what you're doing on this. It's not something you can just throw out and it work every time. You have to really know how to work it. So right here, we have a negative 18 and a positive 18. In this problem, if we take 18 away from 26 and then add 18 back to it, those are going to cancel out. So if we add and subtract the same number, it results in them canceling each other out. So essentially, this negative 18 and positive 18 canceled. And that's why I have the orange lines through them. So then that leaves us with 26 minus 19. 26 minus 19 is 7. Now, what we could have done up here is we could have canceled the 19 and negative 19 also. And we're going to conclude the last two examples in the next video because I am out of time.